our topic today is
Mourning.
Victorian mourning and how it's depicted in ephemera, which is one of my favorite topics that I've studied for a long time. So we'll go ahead and get started. We'll just jump in. So I'm going to start by talking about common misconceptions when looking at mourning photography. So I see this a lot in sure. A lot in actually start with the baby photo. I'll say why.
Okay.
So I see this a lot in like ephemera groups of people trying to pass photographs as post-mortems when they really aren't. So I'm just going to give you some tips on how to figure out if something is post-mortem or not. Just show the baby one.
The one with the baby?
Yeah.
In the lap?
Yep.
This one?
Yeah. So this is an example that I was just able to pull out. It's not a great example, but you've got the baby in the lap. And for example, if this baby's eyes are closed, somebody might look at this and say, oh, it's a post-mortem. But no.
And this is a bad example because the mom's kind of smiling. Yeah. So yeah. Well, there's got to be another baby in here.
There isn't.
Oh.
But anyway, so use your imagination. So basically, if you see like photos of like babies who've got their eyes closed, this is not necessarily a mourning photo. And oftentimes it's just the baby sleeping in their mom's lap or something. And another way you can tell is you'll sometimes see like blurriness around the baby, which means that they were moving during the photo, which obviously means that they weren't dead.
Mm-hmm.
But you will see a lot of people try to pass off photos like that as post-mortem. So just be careful, use detective skills.
Mm-hmm.
Another one that I see a lot is like pictures of people in weird poses. I don't have an example to show y'all. These are just normal photos and CDVs. But sometimes people might see a photo of somebody like, in a weird pose, like standing, sitting, whatever. And they'll be like, oh, this is a post-mortem because they look weird. But that's not the case. 9 times out of 10, it's just somebody taking an awkward photograph. I will show you a post-mortem photo of a real post-mortem photo.
Yeah.
And another thing.
And like because she has like, she has something on, like she's looks like she's in dark clothing. She's got like
she could be in mourning clothing, but I'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I will, yeah.
Yep.
Sometimes you'll also see a stand propping up somebody's head. They're either sitting or standing. This does not mean that they are dead. These head stands, they were called like head clamp stands. They were used by photography studios to keep people still. This is commonly seen for children. So if you see like a thing around their head, no, they're not dead being propped up. That's a common misconception. So
yeah, we'll show a real...
Yeah, so now we'll show a real post-mortem.
Oh yeah, enter the Givey if anybody. This is what we are doing for our giveaway tonight.
Yeah.
But this is the post-mortem.
First of all, anybody in the chat, if you don't want to see a photograph of someone who is deceased, look away now, because this is a photograph of somebody who is deceased. So we're about to show it. So go ahead. So this is a real post-mortem photograph, and this is often what you will see for real post-mortem photos. So they're often people laying either in a bed or in a coffin, and they look very much asleep. And they sometimes have flowers surrounding them. As you can see here, she's got the flowers in her lap. And I forget, does it say anything in the back?
It doesn't, no.
Okay, no. Yeah, but this is, so when you're looking for post-mortem photography, this is what it's going to look like most times. So if you ever see somebody advertising, oh, this is a post-mortem photo, and you like think, is it? Trust your gut.
Or it could be, I've seen it be like almost spot on. Like you can tell they're like, their body's like on a pillow or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like laying, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's that. So moving on. So now another misconception is seeing people dressed in dark clothing in photography and assuming that it's mourning dress.
Yeah,
that is not the case.
What I was showing before. I'll put her back up.
Yeah. So the way that photography works, like black and white, grayscale basically, it translates color into grayscale, right? And so sometimes you'll see somebody wearing dark clothing, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it was black clothing. So color theory, for example, blues, purples, and reds would show up dark in like black and white photography. So just because this woman is wearing a dark dress, it doesn't mean that it was a black dress. It could have been deep blue, it could have been purple, it could have been red. So that's something to watch out for too. Now, if you are looking at something that you think might be mourning photography, things that indicate that somebody was in mourning attire include veils, which sadly I don't have the cabinet card that I used to have.
I think we sold it in our last EPH
we did. I think
talk.
We did.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you see a woman wearing a veil, that often was used in mourning clothing. It could also be a mantilla, which is a type of lace veil that was used for church services. So not necessarily mourning, but it could be. And if you see men or boys wearing black armbands in a photo, that was also denoting of mourning. And then also jewelry. So sometimes you could look at jewelry in a photograph and kind of figure out, hey, this might be mourning jewelry. And we'll show you an example. So this is an example of mourning jewelry. This is called French jet. As you can see, it's very shiny because it's made of glass. So if you see, oh my God, I didn't even realize the Gibby went. I'm so sorry.
No, I did.
Congrats.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I need to watch the chat better. Okay.
Oh no, you're good.
Yeah, but yeah. So this is an example of French jet. It's just glass. But as you can see, it's very shiny. So sometimes you might see something like this in a photograph, like dark jewelry that has like a sheen to it.
Yeah.
Then that could be mourning jewelry. Yeah, exactly. And they would also use there was also another material called gutta percha, which actually, do you want to go run and get one of the
the
cases over there?
Yeah.
So gutta percha was also commonly used for mourning jewelry, and it's a very dull material, and it's actually made of I think it's made from tree sap, which is interesting.
Is it this one or this one?
Yeah, that's a good one. The big one. That's a good example. So this is
a big
made
case
of gutta
image.
percha.
Yeah.
This is actually a daguerreotype case. They're also known as thermoplastic cases, but the material is called gutta percha. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but this was also made into mourning jewelry. This type of material. And actually, I was doing research earlier today on gutta percha, and weirdly enough, it's also used in electrical insulation, like for wiring, and for root canals, which is very bizarre. I guess the tree sap stuff they use is like the same.
Oh wow.
So that's a little fun fact for you.
Oh, you can see the other side. Look, it's like the mirrored image.
Yes.
You can kind of see them. Yeah. But yeah.
Oh, Dustin, you just got some in your root canal. There you go.
Yeah, look at that.
It endures. So that's a little fun fact about that. So again, that's kind of jewelry you want to look out for in photographs. And then next, we're going to move on to fashion, mourning fashion, mourning attire. The endodontist, nice. I just found out about it today. I had no idea. So the next topic is mourning fashion, mourning attire. So in the Victorian era, specifically talking mid to late 19th century, so like 1850s to like 1900s, mourning attire and like rules about mourning were very, very popular. And this was made in part by Queen Victoria, because after her husband, Prince Albert, died, she was in mourning for the rest of her life. She wore black every single day. And since she was the Queen of England, the idea got around, obviously.
Yeah.
And also there was the Civil War going on in the mid-19th century, which caused a lot of death, a lot of grief. And this is just this is a trade card, right? It's a trade card.
Yeah, it's a trade card. What's interesting about this is obviously it's depicting like the 17th century or 16th century.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
You know, probably 17th century. But what she's wearing is totally Victorian or inspired by Victorian mourning.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting. Because you could definitely tell from a mile away this isn't something that a woman would wear in the 17th century at all. But they're showing her like in mourning.
Yeah.
And very like what the Victorian era would like, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very cool.
Hi, Annie. Yeah, good to see you. We're just going through mourning fashion right now. And let's see.
What's the other example of mourning fashion?
So you can show those if you want those 3 postcards.
Mm-hmm.
While you show them, I'll just talk a little about the rules of fashion of mourning attire. So this is specifically when I'm talking
this is a little
about these
later.
rules. Yeah, these are a little bit later.
This is like early 20th century.
Yeah, like 1910s. But as you can see, people were still wearing like mourning clothing, black clothing.
It evolved a little bit.
Yes. But there were rules and expectations for what to wear when you were in mourning. So I'm just going to give you all some examples. So a widow mourning her husband traditionally would mourn for a year and a day to life, forever. I think. Is that right?
I think, no, you're right.
And then a widower, so a man who lost his wife, would mourn for 3 to 6 months, which isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like the difference. And then a parent for a child, traditionally 6 to 12 months. A child for a parent, 6 to 12 months, and it goes on and on. Women specifically had very rigid rules for mourning expectations, especially in the 19th century. So there was a term called widow's weeds, which would refer to women in mourning, like wearing the black clothing. And actually, the word weed, it comes from the Old English word, which means garment. So it's referring to like the garments that they would wear for mourning attire. But yeah, these are interesting. These are, as we said, a little bit later, early 20th century. But you've got the woman in the black dress. She's standing by the grave. You've got all the flowers.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just a great example of mourning fashion in postcards, because postcards weren't really around in like the mid to late 19th century. Well, they came around.
Yeah.
Later.
Well, it shows how the traditions in Western culture still
stayed for a while.
They stayed for a while. Like a lot of times people think it's just Victorian mourning when it really extended beyond.
Exactly.
Even till today, like a perfect example of today of like kind of like mourning culture still being around is rings that have a loved one's ashes in it, and they're kind of like made into like this cool kind of design. But but these postcards we are selling as a lot.
These if anybody's interested. Selling as a lot for all 3. So yeah, you can go ahead and run that if anyone's interested. It's a great example of early 20th century mourning. But yeah, so going back to mourning culture, especially for women, deep mourning would take place immediately after the death of a loved one, and that attire would be all black. And crepe was a very popular woven material used for that because it's very dull. It basically absorbs light, so it's not shiny, and what they considered, it's not ostentatious. So it would be humble to wear a dull color, like a dull fabric like that. So if you see somebody in a photograph wearing a fabric that's, not reflecting much light, very dull, very dark, it could be crepe. And it was also used for veils.
Thank you, Ferris.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Ferrari.
Sorry.
Not
I
Ferris.
said Ferris, and then I was like, that's wrong. I know that's wrong.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So later stages of mourning, so, once a few months had gone by, the woman could lose the veil because traditionally at the beginning, you would have to wear a veil in public at all times. But later on, you could lose the veil, and then as the stages of mourning would go by, A woman could also invite colors like purple and gray into the wardrobe, which would be later stages of mourning. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Here's a nice print. Or is it okay to show?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I have that listed too if anyone's interested.
Here's a
yeah,
good
this is a great
mourning print.
This may have been taken from a Godey's, actually.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. So this is a great example of a print depicting a woman in mourning by a grave site. Is that? Yeah. It says
the memory of Sarah. So maybe a mother or a sister.
Yeah.
And then her baby is asleep. But then there's really sure I don't know because there's a.
Well, no, maybe the baby is passed because it says mother's grave. Or
well, no, it says wife.
Maybe that refers to her mother.
I don't know. It is kind of an interesting print.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, we can. We have this one for sale too. If any of y'all would like to.
It's just plain in the back.
But this was probably taken from a Godey's Ladies book.
Yeah, or Peterson's.
But it's just a great example to show. And this is, I would date this probably 1850s.
Yeah, 1860s probably.
Yeah. This is like right smack dab in the middle.
The heyday of mourning.
Yeah.
Kind of, I would think, right?
Yeah.
Of like the strict rules of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then let's see. Oh, we could show the other mourning postcard if you want to show that too.
This one?
Yeah.
So this is later too. This is kind of doing a memorial of the Journeys Nationales, which is escaping me now. I forget what the Journeys Nationales. Is it for? I think it's like some battle or soldier.
I think it was for World War I.
Yes, I think so too. But you can see kind of like depictions of death and mourning.
Yes, it's just another depiction of mourning. And was this French?
Yes, this is French.
And again, these being postcards, often these are showing mourning culture in the 20th century.
Yeah.
But it just shows that it did endure and still does to this day. So, yeah, you can run that.
Yeah, I can run that if anybody's interested. It's a cool illustration.
Does anyone have any questions so far? If you have questions, let me know. I know I'm going like a mile a minute.
Yeah.
So let me know.
Oh, it's all good.
If you have any questions.
Awesome.
Thank you, Antiquarian. All right. Okay, so we've talked a little. Actually, we do have a picture you can show in this book here. You want to pull that out? Yeah. So.
This one?
Yeah. So this is an example. This is a book that I have on fashion. This is actually the Bath Museum in England. But yeah, that picture right there. That is a
it's like a little girl's dress.
No, it's right? Queen Victoria.
Oh, it's Queen Victoria's dress.
This was Queen Victoria's dress.
Yeah, it looks like almost like a little.
Tiny. She was like 4 feet or something.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know she was that short. Wow.
So this is an example of one of the mourning dresses that Queen Victoria would have worn. So this is like an example of mourning fashion.
Yeah.
And, you can also see like down below there's like a brooch. That one's made out of gutta percha, I'm not really sure.
Yeah, maybe, probably.
Yeah. But that's just a good example of like an extant mourning garment.
Yeah. And then we do have an example of a mourning hair work.
Oh, we're not going to talk about that yet, John.
Oh, we're not talking about that. Okay, I'm jumping ahead.
Yes. Ahead.
Yeah, I'm jumping ahead.
Actually, you can grab that etiquette book right there.
Oh, okay.
So another thing I want to talk about is a great source for finding out more about etiquette in mourning culture is by looking at antique etiquette books. They are a lot of fun. They will make you laugh.
Yeah. They're hysterical.
Yeah. I literally said puns are vulgar on one of the pages. But this is a book, I think it's from the early 1900s, like 1900, 1901.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But, oh, yeah. Can you...
Let me see if I can. Hold on.
So this is a whole chapter in this etiquette book on funerals and mourning. So people literally had books that they could read to tell them what to do.
What to do. Yeah.
Exactly. So you've got.
So instead of Googling it, you would buy one of these.
Yep. And you'd find out what the latest fashion was, what to do, what not to do in society. You want to show the next page? It might have some.
Watching the dead. It is no longer the custom to watch the dead. Did they do that?
I don't know.
Crepe on the door.
What's the next page? I think one of them talks about what
funeral invitations at the house, pallbearers, carriages. Let me try to find page. Sorry, I don't. Funeral service, flowers, military mourning. So here's a whole section on mourning.
Yeah, so this is just a great example in this book of just literally rules and etiquette of how to mourn correctly.
And the history.
Exactly. So if you're ever looking for something and want to learn more about it, I highly recommend just picking up an antique etiquette book because they are full of all sorts of fascinating things. And they give a great glimpse into Victorian life and what societal expectations were.
Yeah.
So it's just really interesting.
And thank you, Antiquarium Bookman. Yes, it was, to make sure that they weren't still alive.
Exactly, which is terrifying.
It is terrifying. I know. Could you imagine, like, kind of looking away and thinking that they're moved or something?
Yeah, that's like the whole, like, bell thing. Like, you know about the bells and graves?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so scary. Oh, actually, memorial cards, speaking of.
Yeah.
We're actually now moving into the next section of mourning stationery. So this is another thing you might see in ephemera. So actually, you can read that right there if you want to.
So this is like an example. I always say Memoria. Helen French died in Chicago, March 25th, 1900, age 20 years.
Yeah.
And then
actually, go up to the top. It says cards and writing paper. Read that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen in mourning use blackboarded cards and letter paper for their social correspondence until the period of mourning is ended. The width of the border is at present very small. If they have business letters to write, they use plain white stationery.
Yeah. So we actually have an example
of that.
Y'all. Yeah.
Almost exact.
My friend actually, she lives in Europe. She actually bought me. It was really cool. It was a set of mourning stationery. So this is from that set.
Yeah. So this is the back.
Yeah. So this is the envelope that would have been used. So you can see
specifically for mourning.
Yeah. So it's got the very thick black, and then it's got that thick black border on the front of the envelope as well. So these would have been used. Somebody in a period of mourning would have sent out envelopes like this. And you would also see letters surrounded by black border as well. Now, some people say that depending on the thickness of the black border, that would signify like how long it had been since a loved one had passed. But there's like some people that agree with that, some people don't.
Yeah.
So it's unsure if that's like true or not. It may have been true sometimes. That's just something interesting to think about. Yeah, so that's mourning stationery. So if you ever come across like a letter or an envelope that's like
that's got, in like, this black kind border, of
chances are it was mourning stationery. Yeah, this is I have another thing from a book of etiquette. Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah. So that is mourning stationery. And next we're going to move on to... Because I don't think we don't have a mourning. No, I don't think we do.
No, I think we've sold them.
I'll just talk about it. There are like cabinet cards. Actually, well, you can show that one.
Yeah, this kind of goes with that theme.
Yeah. So this is like a cabinet card of... so this is a memorial cabinet card. And you can actually see the photo of the deceased person in the very middle. And like I said earlier, you've got a lot of flowers, which are a very common symbol for mourning. You've got the cross that the flowers make.
You can see it says "at rest."
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure. It looks like they almost make like symbols down below, like the flower wreaths. I'm not sure.
Maybe it's saying something and then it's just backwards, or I don't even know.
I don't know if
Yeah,
y'all can figure that out, but
it almost looks like this too. It almost looks like a outline of a person. I know it's probably not.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah,
it looks like a gingerbread man or something.
Yeah, it looks kind of interesting.
So I don't know what that is. Yeah, but you'll see cards like this sometimes, which are memorial cards. And there are other kinds of cabinet cards which are literally like death cabinet cards announcing the death of someone.
Yeah.
And those are often like black, and they're sometimes
black.
white.
Yeah.
Like a white or a black background. And they'll just be announcing the death of somebody, like when they passed. Sometimes it announces like the ceremony, I think.
Yeah, it does.
And sometimes those cards will have like an image of like an angel or something, or a cross.
Yeah, they usually have a cross.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for those too. They're like I said, the background is usually solid black or solid white. And yeah, so that's like mourning cards, mourning stationery. Okay, so then we can move on to memorial hair work. So for this,
there we
go. In terms of ephemera, not yet.
Okay.
So in terms of ephemera, sometimes I don't have an example to show y'all, but sometimes you'll see, you'll come across like a scrap of paper or a letter with a lock of hair attached to it. And now this doesn't necessarily mean that it was for mourning. Locks of hair were commonly exchanged between friends as well as like lovers and family members. Some of y'all might even have like locks of your baby hair kept by family members. It's still a thing to this day.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily used for mourning, but you may come across it in ephemera.
And it was a way for people who couldn't afford to maybe get their photograph taken, or like, before photography was really big, it would be a way to be close to a loved one without having a photograph or a painting of them.
Exactly. Oh, and J-Rock, you have yours. Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know if my parents kept my hair. Did yours?
Oh God, no. Hair? Oh, my mom would never, not like that.
Okay. So the cool thing about hair, I'm just going to get a little scientific real quick.
Yeah.
Is that it decays a lot slower than other parts of the human body, which I know is a little gross to think about, but
and we'll have a good example of this.
Think of mummies.
Yeah,
right?
they still have their hair. Yeah.
Because it decays at a much slower rate. And that is because of its molecular structure, which I actually learned today. So its structure like keeps it strong. So it breaks down at a lot slower pace than other things. So that's why hair was used as like sort of a memento or keepsake, because it would stay, it would endure. And it's literally a piece of your loved one's body. Yeah. Like,
and here is a good example. And I just touched it. I didn't want to touch it. I really did not want to touch it, and I already did. You know what?
It's fine.
You know what? We're touching it. We're touching it. We're touching it. Oh my God. Oh. Oh.
So what we're looking at here, this is a piece of mourning jewelry. This is hair work. Mm-hmm. So literally all that brown stuff that you see that's like tightly woven,
it's hair. It feels like hair. It feels like really stiff hair.
Yes. But yeah, so this is an example of like mourning jewelry that literally it's a brooch. Somebody would have been wearing it.
Yeah. Could you imagine wearing this around your neck? Ooh. Ooh. It has stayed in great shape, though. I will have to say.
Like I said, hair doesn't decay very fast.
It doesn't. Look at that.
Like this is probably 100, 120 years old, 150 years
and
old.
like you can kind of see the craftsmanship that went into this.
Yep.
Is exactly, very lovely.
Oh, I know. I don't have many mourning hair work pieces, but the ones that I do, I'm keeping them.
Yep.
I'm holding on to them. Because these things are very valuable. If you ever see stuff like this out
in the wild, if you see something like this and it's a good price, pick it up.
But so that's like a good piece of mourning jewelry. And do you want to show that one next?
Yeah, and I think we've shown this before.
I think we have, but it's just another.
But it's like another good example. It's also.
So this is another example of hair work, and this time it's really being used as artwork, and you can see it's very much a memorial piece because This is all hair that you see in this. There's nothing else being used. It's all hair. Some of it is, I think it's called macerated, which means it's like kind of mushed.
Yeah, you can see how it almost looks like dusting.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you can see that it like creates that like that gravestone. It says like GP, I think.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah, and it says like précieux something in French. What does it say? Oh yeah,
souvenir
precious memory.
Or precious memory.
Yeah. French. So this is a great example of hair work used as artwork.
Is this the one that says no? It doesn't say anything on that.
No, that one's over there.
Oh, okay.
You can show that one later if we have time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, in terms of ephemera, again, these are more just like actual like like jewelry and like artwork, but you will sometimes see hair in literal just pieces of paper and stuff.
Yeah.
So just keep an eye out because it's fascinating. I love it. Lindsay doesn't.
Oh, I don't. I don't like hair.
I think
we have cool. This one piece that's like it's just like a souvenir. It wasn't like mourning. And Alana loves it, and I can't stand looking at it. And it's in storage right now, and I'm glad.
Oh, I know. I was looking for it earlier. Oh, was so sad.
God, no, I don't want it in the house.
Actually, we do have time. You want to go grab the other one?
Yeah, for sure.
I do have another piece to show y'all that's hair work that I just think is really cool. It's and this one that we're about to show you is not necessarily a mourning piece. I don't think it is. And I'll say why. So this is what it looks like. And you can't even really tell that it's hair.
Yeah, it almost looks like pencil.
Just by looking at it, yeah, you think it's
just like... Then you get really into it. And then you see that blonde hair.
Yeah. It's hair. It's all hair.
And it's like right there, too. It's kind of like meant to look like kind of shady.
Yeah.
And then you really get into it. Let's see if it can.
Can you imagine the skill it took to do something like this?
And so this would be that like dusting.
Yeah.
So you would have to get it super fine.
Oh yeah, this piece is just
it's incredible.
And turn it around.
Yeah, and see, we know it's hair work for sure because on the back.
Yeah, so it says it is. For y'all. It says "Cheveux de Monsieur et Madame," so hair of Mr. and Mrs. And then it says their family name and I think it says their 6 children.
Yeah.
So this is the hair from an entire family. Isn't that cool? So that's why I think this isn't a mourning piece. I think it was just a cool piece of art.
Yeah, from their hair. Yeah.
And I think it says on the back also that this was made by their nanny or something.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think it was like somebody that
governess or nanny or yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So that's just a fun little thing there. And the last thing I'll talk about that's commonly seen in like mourning ephemera and stuff like that is the concept of memento mori, which is a lot of fun. Oh wait, I'm sorry. No, it's okay. Get the locket. Yeah. So memento mori is always a fun thing to talk about. So the phrase is Latin, and it roughly translates to "remember that you're going to die," which is pretty morbid. But back in the Victorian era and even before then, it was a very common idea. Not necessarily always used for mourning. It could just be a reminder of your mortality.
Yeah.
And basically to remind people, behave, because you're gonna die soon, and you want to go to a good afterlife. According to Christianity.
Yeah, this one kind of goes into that theme, right?
This is a great example. Yes. Yes. So this one, I just got this stereo view. This one is actually a cool example of kind of spirit photography too.
It is.
So you can see the woman. She's like kind of looking sad, and she's looking up at what looks like a ghostly image of hands holding an hourglass, and it's got like wings around it. And what does it say? Like it has like a caption, I think, on the back, maybe.
One by one, the sands are flowing.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. New Hampshire. Yeah. Yeah, Father Time, exactly. So this is a great example of memento mori because it's literally saying time's ticking. The sands are flowing.
Yeah.
You got to think about it.
Yeah. So you don't have much time left.
She doesn't look that happy about it.
No. But yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, I don't.
She's like,
nah.
But
or she's like, oh, whatever.
Yeah. But this is a great example. So symbols that you will see for memento mori, the hourglass, for example, that's a great symbol that you might see. Other symbols that were commonly used were things like skull, wilting flowers, sometimes fruit. You see that a lot also in Baroque art, like in the 17th century. Memento mori was like hugely popular because they were all about that. So that's just that's just a fun example of memento mori. And then after this, I'll just show you a few other things from our collection.
Yeah.
Do you want to show the Dover directory?
Yeah.
So this is really cool. So if y'all ever are looking for advertisements for like coffins or for like gravestones from the Victorian era, a great place to look is old directories for cities. Because this is a directory for Salmon Falls.
For Dover and Great Falls, which is Salmon Falls, which is Rollinsford, where we actually used to live. Yeah. And it has some great, like, here's just an example of like a great advertisement, like the corsets. They have advertisements for everything.
Yeah, all sorts of businesses. But this is a great place to look if you're ever looking for like here we go, ready-made coffins. You got the picture there. What is around that?
Yeah, let's look.
You've got like a
coffins.
cross.
You got the baby like with the wings. You got
exactly.
Really, yeah. And then the right on the page right before it.
Yeah, look at that. Monuments, tablets, headstones, and all kinds of ornamental marble work. And I love the picture it has.
And then they used the same graphics, but there's more than one. Oh wait, actually this is cool. I found this too. What? Clairvoyant physician.
That's
electric and clairvoyant physician.
Don't know how good they were.
No, yeah.
But it sounds cool.
Where is that other one? Is this the one I showed before? I think so. I don't
know. But yeah, if you're ever in a bookstore and you're like see an old directory for like any
coffins
city,
and caskets,
pick it up and look through it because chances are there will be some very cool ads.
Yeah.
Oh, is this another one?
Yeah, this is another one. Same image, different guy.
Person?
Yeah, because
this is the same image.
I know. Yeah, they use the same image. Yeah. Well, they would use the same images throughout all of these. Like,
really?
yeah, like and then like
maybe it was just the publisher.
Yeah, like hairdressing room. They would use like the same kind of
coffin clip art.
Yes, because this was ready-made coffins.
Literally.
And this was coffins and caskets.
Yeah.
And cabinets of any kind, so you don't just need,
Yep.
ready-made clothing.
Yeah. So again, keep an eye out for books like these because they are an incredible source of Victorian advertising.
Oh yes, directories. Yes, and it's so cool because you open it up and they'll usually be in like some advertisements will be in different colors and stuff. But then it's cool because it has like the directory of everybody who lived there.
Yeah.
But then like throughout, I think for like each town, like at the end, it has like it lists like businesses. Let me see if I can get one of those pages really quick. Yeah. Business directory of Dover, so then you can look up and see what kind of businesses did they have.
It's literally like the Blue Pages.
Oh yeah, Coffin Warehouse right there.
What are they called? The Yellow Pages, something like
that. Yeah, the Yellow Pages literally, back in the day. Yeah.
Yep.
Clocks and watches, clockmakers, auctioneers. Look at it.
Yeah. So yeah,
billiard
it's
halls.
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
And okay, so we have about 5 minutes. You want to show the Paris? The cafe, what was it called?
And we've shown this is our second one that we have of this.
It's just so fun though.
But we always love to show these.
So so this is we have shown this before. So this was a famous cabaret in Paris. And this just shows how like kind of like mourning and like more morbid like death was so ingrained in culture. So this was a cabaret literally called Hell. L'Enfer. And it was a very famous, wait, was it a cabaret or a cafe? I forget.
It's a cabaret, I think.
Yeah. Cabaret. There you go. And it was in Paris, in, I think, Montmartre, I think is where it was.
Montmartre, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it was literally themed like hell. So you walk in, and it looks like hell.
Yeah.
So you can see these are some. I think these are like
on the walls
on the
and
wall.
like because here's a good picture of it with people.
Yeah. So this is what it looked like inside. So as you can see, it's
that would be super cool.
It would be cool. It's so interesting. You've got like figures on the walls and stuff. And then you've got a guy, I think he's dressed as like Mephistopheles or whatever that guy was called.
And then here's what it looked like on the outside.
Yeah, check that out. Isn't that cool?
I'd go.
It literally says hell. Lawfare.
It's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Sadly.
You're like entering the mouth. Yeah.
It would be so fun to go into.
It would be.
Yeah.
So that's just a great example of like a kind of like popular culture.
Popular culture.
The idea of
mourning.
Death in the afterlife.
Yeah.
And then, oh yeah, you have those too as well if you wanted to show one of those.
Oh yeah, and then this is we've shown these before too, and this is like in note gelds, which were 1920s money.
Yeah, German money.
German money.
But this is another example of like memento mori kind of.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You've got like the skeleton. I think this is such a cool one.
Yeah, this one is really cool.
And especially during this time period, it was a really hard period for Germany in terms of like economics.
Yeah,
so
Weimar
I can see
Republic.
why a lot of them would have been like kind of morbid, because it was just hard.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that's the skeleton. I think I have another one.
Yeah. Oh, and I have another one. This one's kind of funny.
Yeah, it is
I guess.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah. I don't know if this is like for beer or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But you've got like a skeleton holding like the scythe. So I don't know if it's like he's drinking himself to death. I don't know. But yeah, exactly, ephemera. Death was literally everywhere. Like it is so interesting to study. It's so fun to study, honestly.
It is. It
death
is
a part of life, you know?
It is a part of life.
It should be like normalized.
Yeah.
Because it has been a part of life and culture since the dawn of humanity.
Since the dawn of time, yeah.
You know?
And we always have customs around it.
Yeah, customs, traditions, ways of grieving. It's just very fascinating to study. There's all sorts of ways. And today we only touched on Western mourning.
Yeah.
This is specifically European and American mournings traditions.
Yeah.
We didn't even touch on any other kinds of mournings throughout the world because it is so different throughout the world and so unique. And it's just incredible. I highly recommend looking up mourning culture and tradition if you're ever interested, because it's different all over the world. And it's just incredible.
It's fascinating how different cultures
represent grief and death
mourning
in the afterlife.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, you want to show the block real quick? I forgot about that.
Oh, yes. The block.
We have 2 minutes. This is just cool. We actually don't really know what this is. It's kind of a mystery. It's like a wooden block, but it's got that symbol on the front. Turn it around again. So this is a weeping willow, which is a common mourning symbol. You've also got the urn, which is like, it looks like it's on top of like a gravestone. So this is very much a common mourning symbol that you might see. The weeping willow, the urn.
And it's a cookie mold.
Yeah, we think it might be a cookie mold. Which is very interesting because cookies were a part of funeral traditions in the Victorian era. So it could have been a mold to denote a mourning, like feast, basically. I don't know. Yeah, soul cakes. Exactly, yeah. Mourning related to funerary. Exactly, yeah. It's everywhere. But yeah. So this was just a little part of our collection that I just wanted to show y'all and talk about. I hope I made sense. I know I talked really fast, probably.
Oh, but, no, you're good.
But I love mourning culture and traditions. It's very fun to study and fun to collect. So, yeah. 7:59, so we'll almost raid into Turner vintage, which I'm very excited for.
But yeah, we love mourning culture. We like to collect it. You don't see it often in the wild, but when you do,
it's very valuable.
It is. It is. Yes. So yeah.
Okay, so it is 8. All right.
Ah, that's very cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow, that's very cool.